Welcome back all of you to our online platform, that is our school's YouTube channel. So again we are ready with today's video. This video is for class 9th and the subject is science, and as you all know that we are proceeding the physics portion during this time. So today we will discuss the in-text questions of chapter number 10, that is gravitation. As you all know that we have already completed the discussion for this chapter. So today we will proceed the in-text questions. So we will start with the questions given on page number 134. The first question is, state the universal law of gravitation. So we have to write the statement. The universal law of gravitation states, first thing, two parts are there. First thing, that every object in the universe attract other object. Every object in the universe attract other objects. Now the magnitude of the force of attraction between any two objects will be directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. So this is the statement of universal law of gravitation. Write the formula to find the magnitude of the gravitational force between the earth and the object on the surface of the earth. That we have already done. Suppose earth is there and any object is there. The mass of the earth is m and the mass of the object is m, and the radius of the earth is r(e). So we can find out the expression force will be equal to G, that capital M small m upon r(e) square, because the formula of the force is F is equals to G m1 m2 upon r square. So here G is, that is the universal gravitational constant, and the value of G is 6.67 into 10 raised to power minus 11, and the SI units are Newton meter square per kilogram square. So here the mass of that object we have taken small m. Now the radius. Now any object placed on the surface of the earth cannot be bigger than the earth. The size of that object is negligible as compared to the earth. So that's why we are considering only that distance between their centers as the radius of the earth. So this is the expression of the force between any object placed on the surface of the earth. So these two questions are given only on this page. So after that we are supposed to move towards the next page. We have to find where the questions are given. Now on page number 136. Again two questions are given. What do you mean by free fall? The state of free fall: when an object is moving under the influence of Earth's gravitational force only, then the object is said to be under free fall. कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट है उस पर कौन सी फोर्स लग रही है? दैट फोर्स इज ड्यू टू अर्थ ओनली. देन वी कैन से दैट ऑब्जेक्ट इज अंडर free fall. If we are having any ball in our hand at a certain height and we used to drop that, अगर हमने उसको छोड़ दिया means it will move downwards. Why? Due to the gravitational force of the earth. Means at that time no other force is acting on that ball. That's why that motion of falling down the ball from a height is considered to be free fall. Now the second question: what do you mean by acceleration due to gravity? Acceleration due to gravity. Gravity means the earth's gravitational force. Means if any, now we will take again the same example. If any ball is dropped from a certain height, so it will move towards the earth. So it will accelerate because at initial point it was at rest, but as we drop that, it acquired the motion. Means it acquired the acceleration also, because initially it was at rest, means the velocity is increasing. So the acceleration produced in that object, in that ball, how it is possible? It is produced by the Earth's gravitational field. So we can again classify, or we can frame the definition of that acceleration due to gravity, that the acceleration produced in any object by the Earth's gravitational force is called acceleration due to gravity, and that is represented by the small g, and the value of that small g is 9.8 meter per second square. From where 9.8 meter per second square came, that we have deduced, we have calculated the value of g during our previous videos. So like this we can proceed that question. Afterwards we are supposed to move forward, we are supposed to search if any other questions are there. So on page number 138, two more questions are given. First question is, what are the differences between mass of an object and its weight? Mass and weight. Mass and weight. So first one, so we are, when we are supposed to differentiate, so we are supposed to write the point of contradiction. So the first point here, mass is the amount of matter contained, amount of matter contained whereas weight is the force due to gravity. The force due to gravity. Mass is the amount of matter contained and weight is the force due to gravity. And second thing we can write, the mass, it is constant. Here we can write weight is not constant. Third thing, mass is a scalar quantity. It is a scalar quantity, whereas the weight is a vector quantity. And next thing we can write, SI unit of mass is kilogram, whereas the SI unit of weight is Newton. So these are some of the differences which we can write in a tabular form between mass and weight, the amount of matter contained or the measure of inertia, and here the force due to gravity. Second one, the mass is the constant, the matter will be the same, and weight changes, as we have discussed that the weight at equator and poles. Even we have discussed that the weight of any person on moon will be 1/6 of the weight of that person on the earth. So weight can be changed, but mass cannot change. The third one is, it is a scalar quantity because it is having only the magnitude, not the direction, but weight is a force and force is having the magnitude as well as direction. That's why it is the vector quantity. The last difference we can write regarding the SI units, the SI units of mass is kilogram and the SI units of weight is Newton. So this was question number 1. Now question number 2, why is the weight of an object of on the moon is 1/6 of the weight of the on the earth? So that we have already discussed that expression, how to deduce that expression 1/6. So you are supposed to go through that video again and you will get the answer for that. Afterwards, why it is difficult to hold a school bag having a strap made of thin and strong string? So the question is that why it is hard to hold a school bag with a thin strap. Strap means like this, we are having a school bag, so straps are like this. So if these are broad, means widen, it is comfortable, and if these those are thin, it can be hard. Why? Because the reason is that we have learned previously that pressure is equals to thrust upon area. Now the thrust means the force will be due to the weight of the bag, and the books are same. Now in that books the weight will be same. What is changing? If the straps are widened, means the area will be more. If the straps are thinner, means the area will be less. If the area will be more, so the pressure will be less. If the area is less, pressure will be more. So by having the thinner straps, the area will be less and the pressure will be more exerted on the body of that students. That's why we can say that the school bags having the broadened straps will be comfortable for the students or the person who is carrying that bag on his or her back. So afterwards, what do you mean by buoyancy? Buoyancy is the phenomena in which the fluid exerts the upward force when the object is submerged partially or completely in that fluid. Means कोई भी fluid है. Fluid means what does the word fluid means? Fluid means the liquid as well as gases. If we I gave you the example previously, if we are having one bucket full of water and we are trying to put the mug in that, so we are supposed to exert some pressure from the upper side. Why? Because that water is exerting the upward force, that is known as the buoyant force, and this whole phenomena and the process is known as buoyancy. And afterwards, the second question, what do you mean by buoyancy? We have already discussed in the first question that, what do you mean by buoyancy? We have just discussed that buoyancy. Now the question number third, why does an object float or sink when placed on the surface of the water? Now we have discussed the relative density. Relative density is the density of the object, the ratio of the density of the object to the density of the water. If the density of an object is less than or equals to water, less than or equals to water, then it will float, or if the density of any object is more than that of water, then it will sink. So this is the criteria that how we can find whether the object will sink or float. So I hope that you have understood. The remaining questions we are supposed to discuss in the next video, and after completing the in-text question, we are supposed to start the exercise given at the end of the chapter. So I hope that you have understood and you will try to learn these terms. At the same time, you are supposed to copy these all terms what we have discussed into your rough notebook, because when it will be required that you are supposed to complete your fair notebook, you can easily complete your fair notebook from that rough notebook you have maintained through this time. So that is my advice, that you should maintain your notebook with on the daily basis. What we are discussing, you are supposed to prepare the notes of that and you are supposed to mention in that notebook. Thank you very much.